When the streets of Chicago whisper your name, it's either in fear or respect. But when Lil Jeff's body hit the pavement outside Trap City turf, the whispers turned to war cries. Money demands payment. And the Bloodhounds weren't about to let their fallen soldier rest without vengeance. This is 20 minutes of the Bloodhounds sliding for Lil Jeff of Z Money. The war that's been painting Chicago streets red didn't pop off overnight. Bloodhound Lil Jeff wasn't just another drill rapper with a mic. He was a certified problem with alleged 11 bodies to his name and an entire hood behind his movements. Before Jeff's body even cooled on that hot June afternoon in 2024, the dominoes were already falling toward what would become one of the deadliest gang wars in recent Chicago memory. It all stemmed from what seemed like a simple chain. Jeff allegedly Trap City Carter's $80,000 chain during what was supposed to be a peace talk. The ops weren't feeling that disrespect, and what followed was pure retaliation. According to street gossip, Trap City put a hit on Z Money, Jeff's cousin and a beloved Bloodhound member, in early 2023. When Z caught 29 in a parking lot on March 16th, the alliance that had lasted a decade between Trap City and Drill City shattered like bulletproof glass. Reddit users immediately got freaked out by the whole thing, with one commenting, 29 times is crazy, no wonder Bloodhound did what they did. R.I.P. Z Money and R.I.P. Leal. Q50 later talked about the saying they might have taken the spark, but ended up lighting the whole fire. A cold nod to his fallen family member. That one body split the trenches in half, turning what was once the 0679 alliance into straight opposition. The same blocks that used to ride together now move with orders, proving how one loss can flip unity into war overnight. But Jeff wasn't about to let his cousin slide without consequences. By June 2023, Jeff had allegedly arranged the of Trap City's Leal, catching him in a rideshare vehicle and emptying clips into the car. We'll talk about this later, but just so you know, it is rumored to involve more than 3 blicks. This back and forth continued escalating, with Jeff allegedly claiming victims like Monty and Lil Rob from BKN in January 2024. This happened right after they allegedly his ice, but every eventually becomes. On June 8, 2024, Jeff rolled into Trap City territory, chasing someone into what turned out to be a fatal trap. Trap City Rob was waiting and caught Jeff with what was reported to be 19 to the chest. The moment Jeff's pulse stopped, Q50 and the remaining Bloodhounds were already planning their revenge tour. The question wasn't if the Bloodhounds would slide for Jeff, but who would be the first to make their move. With Q50 now leading the pack, the summer of 2024 turned into a chess match across Chicago's South Side. Tensions had already been boiling since Z Money's murder, but Jeff's cranked the temperature past the breaking point.
The first time I call my first and I'm like, I need to smoke. In my leg. The next month I'm trying to scoop. I can't stop rapping about the they my cousin, but I fuss on Week Trade, we was Spanish, but the only difference is that call.
Once Jeff's right hand Q50 turned full demon after bro got dropped, pain turned him savage. In a rare moment, he admitted losing Jeff broke him for real. Said that was his twin in motion and mind. But that heartbreak flipped to get back mode quick. Q50 swore he was gonna stand on business for Z Money and Jeff by any means. By 2023, he'd already caught one to the leg. Word is Trap City tried to take him out, but that only lit the fuse more. After that, Q50 wasn't talking peace no more. He was trying to up the score for the Bloodhounds. In the aftermath, allies like JB Bin Laden and Vert rallied around him, forming a united front under a shared sense of loss and revenge. JB, who'd been locked in with Jeff since they were shorties, said bro was one of his day ones. A wild lil dude who grew into somebody that really lived what he rapped.
It's a fame, one word that y'all try to tell you don't need to be worth the hell the time. All the time. Like this is like some shit like the whole city could tell you they let me walk out that door. That was the worst thing, worst option possible, let me leave out the door. I been time in traffic with a little Scorpio, got that bro, we call this splack. I'm driving, but I'm bouncing out all that splack attack. You know that. I really kid on bap on hats, we really don't bap on hats, we really don't bap on that, we really don't. It wasn't worth it. 30 seconds of fame just to go to read ceremonies and gotta go through all type of stupid.
Quick and cold. Barely a month later, by July 7th, 2024, 18-year-old Lil Scoom got on 89th and Langley. Scoom, one of Jeff's closest guys, had been saying he felt bad energy in the air, like something was finna happen. 30 days later, that premonition came true. Police say Scoom and his boy Lil Will got into it with somebody on the block rang out. Scoom took 2 to the chest and collapsed in both legs, but made it. Not long after, the rumors started. Talk that Scoom got backdoored by somebody he thought was solid. His mom's even said he called her before it happened, telling her the vibes was off and folks around him were moving funny. For the Hounds, losing Scoom right after Jeff was like getting hit with a double clip. Same pain, back to back. Q50 said when his lil bro got dropped barely a month after Jeff, it broke him all over again. The big homies had to move him out the way for a minute, try to cool his head before he did something wild. But that second loss didn't slow the set. It turned them heartless. Q50 was carrying 3 ghosts now: Z-Money, Jeff, and Scoom. And that kind of weight don't stay quiet for long. The whole city was tuned in, waiting to see where the Bloodhounds would spin next. Everybody knew payback was coming, and when it did, it painted the block red, the reckoning. By September 2024, the Hounds had regrouped and locked in, moving smarter and meaner than before. Q50 was a whole new breed now. The sidekick was gone, and a cold-blooded general had stepped up. His IG posts turned cryptic, devil emojis, coded captions, like he was talking straight to the ops without saying a word. While still grieving Jeff and Scoom, the Bloodhounds were already plotting their biggest get-back move yet. The whole war had started with Z-Money's death, and Jeff had already set the tone months earlier by allegedly lining up on Trap City's Leal back in June 2023. Shook the whole city, not just because of how cold it was, but because of how bold the Bloodhounds had gotten with it. Leal was just 19 when he got turned into a headline. On June 25th, 2023, around 8:55 p.m., he caught a rideshare on the 1300 block of West Taylor Street in Little Italy, way outside Trap City turf. It should have been a safe play, but the Bloodhounds had been watching. Eyewitnesses said someone slid up on foot and started dumping through the back passenger window without saying a word. Police scanner audio caught the chaos. Fired, car speeding off. The driver, Robert Smith, told local reporters he blew through red lights trying to save his passenger, but when he finally looked back, Leal wasn't moving. A woman who was nearby when the rang out said she hit the ground crying and shaking, saying she first heard 8 pops but swore it had to be over 20 once it stopped. The different versions of how many went off just showed how wild and chaotic that moment really was. Cops never made an arrest for Leal's, but Jeff wasn't ducking credit. In the weeks after, he dropped posts and bars that made it clear who had called that play. On his track Stretched, he talked about catching someone lacking in a fishbowl, Drill Talk for catching an op in a car with no tint, and said his target looked up like he saw a ghost. Q50 co-signed the flex heavy. On his No Tomorrow video that dropped in April 2024, he called the victim the latest guy from Trap City and said he was rolling an Uber pack. Then, just a few months later on Splash Bros, Q50 took it up a notch, rapping that Leal got hit with 7.62 seconds, a direct nod to the caliber the Bloodhounds were rumored to use. For Question 50, this was just the beginning of the revenge tour for Jeff. The message needed to be reinforced, and the target had to be someone whose would send ripples through Trap City's ranks. The real payback came a month later. Trap City Carter, the same dude whose chain Jeff back in early 2023, kicking off the whole war, turned into the next name on the board. Carter wasn't no random op either. He was a trophy hit. Taking him out would send a signal the whole city would feel. On October 19th, 2024, Carter was chilling in Bronzeville, thinking it was just another quiet night. But at 8:41 p.m., that peace got shattered. 2 masked slid out a white whip and let loose. Carter caught multiple to the chest before the pavement, dipped back in the car and vanished just as quick. Clean, surgical, no wasted motion. By the time the paramedics pulled up, Carter was hanging on by a thread. They rushed him to Chicago Medical, but the damage was too deep. He didn't make it. The coroner later made it official. Trap City Carter was gone. A few hours later, Q50 jumped on IG with a post that said that Lil Jeff and Lil Scoo can finally rest. A week later, the city was something straight out of a movie. During Carter's own funeral procession, as family and homies tried to give him a proper send-off, the Bloodhounds doubled back. Just as the convoy was rolling out from St. Mark's Church, ripped through the air. The target this time, Carter's sister, Romesha Turner, driving her white Jaguar in the line, threw her whip, sending it crashing into a nearby house. When cops pulled up, they found Romesha slumped over the wheel multiple times. A single heel lay in the street, a haunting symbol of how fast the streets can to life. She was rushed to Chicago Medicine Inglewood, but she didn't make it. Even in a city numb to this hit different. 2 bodies in 2 weeks. Trap City Carter and his sister, both tied to the same get-back mission. The Bloodhounds weren't just avenging Lil Jeff anymore. They were making a statement loud enough for the whole South Side to hear. Nobody linked to the ops was untouchable. Point of impact. scoreboard was looking gruesome now. Z-Money, Lil Jeff, and Lil Scoom gone from the Bloodhound side, while Leal, Trap City Carter, and his sister Ramisha got turned into packs on the other. But for $50, that wasn't enough. Carter might have been a statement, but the list wasn't finished. Word in the streets was that Q50 had a mental checklist of everyone tied to Jeff's, and he was crossing names off one by one. One name that kept coming up was TMC Slide. Rumor had it Q50 and Jeff had already tried to get him back in May 2024 before Jeff got hit. Allegedly, they caught Slide sitting in a whip with no tint, so they doubled back and let off straight into the driver's side. The streets couldn't agree on what really happened to Slide. Some said he was brain. Others swore he was in rehab learning how to walk again, and a few claimed he was perfectly fine, just laying low. A TMC member tried to downplay everything in an interview, laughing it off like it was cap, saying people were doing too much talking and that their boy was good, still outside and untouched, but nobody could confirm it for real. And that mystery just made the Bloodhound's name ring louder. Every whisper about Slide's fate added to Q50's growing legend as the kind of op who didn't miss and didn't stop. By December 2024, Q50 had fully embraced his role as the face of the Bloodhounds' vengeance. His new track, 762, dropped like a declaration of war. The title itself was a direct nod to the same 7.62mm round said to have taken Leal's life, and the lyrics pulled no punches, including one where he said, "They took my brother, I need all that. Go 762 if a act tough." To those tuned in, it sounded less like music and more like a coded threat broadcast over beats. Police knew it too, but they couldn't do much. Even with extra patrols and surveillance across the south and west sides, the violence didn't slow down. Every new week seemed to bring another shooting, another mural, another name trending locally for the worst reason. Detectives were boxed in by a code of silence that ran deep. Nobody talked, even when the victims were close to home. The most heartbreaking consequence of the Bloodhounds' rise wasn't just the growing body count, it was what it meant for the next generation. In neighborhoods already struggling under the weight of poverty and fear, kids were learning all the wrong lessons. They saw revenge being praised, violence being rewarded, and names like Q50 turning into neighborhood legends. For many, that became the blueprint for survival. Still, Q50's influence in the drill scene kept skyrocketing. The controversy only amplified his reach. Every new track he dropped pulled in millions of views. Every lyric was dissected online for hidden meaning. To his fans, he wasn't just a rapper. He was living proof of what they'd been taught to believe, that action speaks louder than words, and in the streets, reputation is everything. Blood feuds. By 2025, what started as a personal get-back turned into a full-blown war. The Bloodhounds weren't just spinning for Jeff anymore. The beef had spread citywide, dragging in sets that had nothing to do with the original smoke. Lines got blurred, alliances fell apart, and everybody was picking sides. The once solid 0679 alliance, that joint used to hold weight for over a decade, keeping different hoods under one umbrella. But after the Bloodhounds and Trap City started going at it heavy, that unity got smoked. Now it's every block for themselves. Vert ended up in the crossfire. He had love for Q50 and the Bloodhounds, but his people were tied in with Trap City by blood. That put him in a tricky spot, too close to both sides. The streets started whispering, questioning if he was double dipping or feeding info. In a war like that, even family ties couldn't save you. In a rare move for peace, Vert tried to calm the storm, telling both sides they ain't gotta be ops, that too many bodies already dropped. Folks said he was trying to keep the city from bleeding more, and even though it ain't worked, some still gave him props for standing on business the right way. But that truce talk didn't last long. The smoke with Risky Road was still active, the same beef that left Leal slumped. What started over a blick supposedly snatched from an ESD member tied in with the Bloodhounds had turned into real blood. Then Q50 came through with a rumored track called FM Risky Road, making it crystal clear where he stood. He dropped names, threw and basically told his ops to come get it back in. From that point on, it wasn't just music, it was pressure. Every bar, every post, every move was adding fuel to an already burning war. Meanwhile, TMC 63,000 was still playing it cautious. Ever since that whole situation with TMC Slide, they'd been keeping their distance from the Bloodhounds. Nobody really knew the truth about Slide. Some of his guys swore he was good, while others just went ghost. That silence made the streets talk even more, and the tension between both sides never really cooled off. At the same time, Word started spreading that Q50 and a few Bloodhound hitters had been making plays up in Milwaukee, hinting they were trying to stretch the block across state lines. If true, it meant the Bloodhounds weren't just holding down the South Side anymore. They were expanding, setting up new spots and flexing their reach like a real organization. But it wasn't just about bodies or territory. There was money in the mix too. The street paper tied to these blocks, from drugs, traps, and side hustles, made every move personal. When Trap City Carter got dropped, it didn't just hit his crew emotionally, it opened up a bag. Everyone wanted a piece of what he left behind, and that rush for power only kept the cycle spinning. Social media kept the whole war lit. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube turned into virtual trenches. Ops dissing, subbing, and spinning blocks through lyrics and visuals instead of until the bullets came right after. Dropping a music video on enemy turf wasn't just for views, it was a statement, a digital hit before the real one. Q50 knew how to play that game better than most. His socials weren't just for flexing, they were strategy. Instead of dropping direct threats that could land him in cuffs, he spoke in codes, emojis, and captions that only the streets could decode. One photo, one lyric, one devil emoji, and everybody already knew what time it was. By this point, it wasn't even about getting even anymore. It was about keeping the cycle alive. Every move demanded a response. Every needed a payback. The streets had their own kind of math, and the sum was always blood for blood. For Q50, who'd already tanked a leg and watched 3 of his day ones drop, the smoke wasn't just business anymore, it was personal. The wars had ate deep into his soul, but in the trenches, feelings get you lined. So he put the hurt in the music, masked the grief with motion. Weakness wasn't an option. Drill culture only respected pressure and payback. By the time spring 2025 came around, the question wasn't if it would keep going, it was how bad it would get and who's next to go. The wars had grown past revenge. It was its own machine now, feeding off pain, pride, and payback. And in the shadows, the whispers kept circling. Q50 still got names left on that list. Till every last one gets touched, they say Jeff's ghost still watching, waiting for the score to even out in blood. If you like this video, click one of the windows on either side to watch a video similar to this one.